All right. Yeah. So it has accepted at this point. So basically, whatever we were doing over here, we are creating a program that prompts the user to enter radius. After the user has entered radius, it will be able to calculate the area. So the question can be create a program that prompts the user to enter the radius and then calculate the area. So the first step that I'll do, I'll start by maybe writing down my algorithm or my pseudocode. What do I do? One, I know I'll tell the user to enter radius and then I'll compute the area. And how do I compute the area? I say area is equals to this. This one is just a summary. A detailed one will be maybe something like maybe I'll display the message enter radius and then I accept radius because the user ananipatia radius. After nime accept radius na compute what? Area. And how do I compute area? I compute area by saying what? Area is equals to 3.142 times radius and then lastly display area. That's my step. So after writing down the steps, I'll now start executing them, putting them into instructions. The first thing you'll do, you'll create a class. And how do we create a class? You right click under project.oriented and say new, and then you can say Java class, give it a name, and then you can give it a name area. And then the next thing that you'll do, I'll create our main method. I'll say public static void main. Remember the main method only string is capital because here we are accepting area. We need the scanner. And how do we create the scanner? We say scanner input. Input is the name of our scanner. Okay, is equals to new scanner in bracket system.in. System.in means input, accepting something. In out, system.out means output. We are displaying something. So here in this program, we have variables, and I've said variables are things that can change. And some of the variables that we have is area, and then another one is what? Radius. So we have to declare variables. So how do I declare variables? You now start thinking, what if a user gives us so here, this is where system analysis and design comes into play, whereby we define human information requirement. Okay? So I'll start thinking, what if a user gives us a decimal point as the radius? Or if I have 7 as the radius, 7 is a whole number, but see, itakuwa na decimal point. So if we are dealing with the decimal points, automatically we use a data type known as what? Double. So I'll declare variables. And what are some of the variables that we have? We have radius and area. So I'll say double radius and double area. Okay. So, so I've said one of the way that you can declare a variable, we can declare them on separate lines. For example, I can say double radius, and then another one I can say double area. Or I can declare them on a straight on the same on the same line. I can say double radius, comma area. The order is not necessarily. I can even start with the area, comma radius, like that. Okay, here's a point of note. You need to note this one. If you start with, if I say area, small letters, kila mahali inafaa ikuwe small letters. Siwezi sema area hapa in small, kisha huku chini inakuja nasema in capital, haitaielewa. Okay, so you can't use both of the methods whenever you're declaring a variable. You can either use one, you can't use both. So I'll comment that. So when I comment that, unaona everything is now okay. So the next thing that I'll do, I'll display the message enter radius to the user, whereby I'll say system.out.println enter radius, and then I'll accept the radius. How do I accept the radius? I say radius is equals to input. Input is our scan object. Input dot next double. So this method over here accept the double. And how do we accept the double? We say input dot next double. And I had said if you are using maybe if it was an integer, you say radius is equals to, kama it was an integer, you say input dot next int. So you'll use int like that. If you are using a string, if it was a string, you'll say radius is equals to input dot next. That's a string. Or you can say next line. Okay? Oh, sorry, you can say next line like this. Okay, but in this case our data type is double, so we don't need this, so I'll do away with them. So I'll accept the radius from the user and then I'll calculate the area. So after accepting, user amenipatia radius, now I can calculate the area. You can't calculate the area without the radius. After calculating the radius, so you can see over here, I've accepted radius. Now the next thing, I've computed the area. The next thing is display the area. If I want to display the area, I'll say system.out.println and say area, which is a statement, or I can write it all in capital area, or I can say the area is now I need to attach the area, so I'll say plus. If I need to attach the area, I attach it outside the quotes. I'll say plus what? Plus area, like that. And then now I can run my program. I can run my file. I can come over here and say enter radius, and then I can enter radius of 7. When I press enter, it tells me the area is 153.958. I can also give it a different value. I can give it something like 14.2. When I press enter, it tells me the area is 633.55288. Yes. Any question? Anyone with a question on that? Anyone with a question? So does it mean that you've understood that? Kezia, ask your question. Okay, okay, sawa. We have two types of comment. We have line comment and a block comment. So this one is a line comment. Ina comment to a single line. Siwezi kuja hapa, nikija hapa chini niseme uh, this is my first program. Unaona, ina underline kila kitu because haielewi ni nini. Nasema it expect something over here, hata ukieka it won't run because it does not understand this. So this one is just I'm trying to communicate, I'm trying to tell the user that this one is just my first program. So whatever if you want to communicate something to the user or to your fellow programmer, sorry, not to the user, to your fellow programmer, I'll have to put a comment. So because it is just a line, this it is just a single statement, I use a line comment. And how do I write a line comment? I press on stroke mbili. No, ukipress moja bado haifanyi kazi. Nikiweka mbili, it gets the job done. Okay? And then that's the first type of comment. We call it a line comment. And then another one is a block comment. A block comment starts with a stroke and then asterisk. Unaona, nikiandika tu stroke asterisk na nifinya enter, inaniwekea ya kutabulate. Automatically, the compiler will look for this and then itatafuta hii yake ya mwisho. So whatever iko hapa katikati, itajua kwamba ni comment. For example, I can say this is my first program, and then I can continue and say it calculates area. No, it's a block comment. So automatically it look for this and it will look at the endpoint. Itatafuta hii ya kufunga. So it knows whatever falls in between there is just a statement. So it will ignore it. You can see it hasn't interfered with my program because it is just a comment. So basically, uh, we have two types of comments. We have a line comment and a block comment. So line comment, uh, they're usually preceded by two slashes, and then we also have a block comment. A block comment is also known as a paragraph comment. Okay, so whatever happens, the compiler scans for the compiler will be able to scan for this, and then automatically it will scan for the endpoint. So it knows very well that whatever falls in between there is a comment. So we have two types of comment, line comment and a block comment. Unaona hii inaweza andika hapo, hata nikirudi nifanye hivyo haita interfere but hii nikikuja tu nitoe hizi inaharibu program mzima. So you have to comment. It is a way that I'm communicating to other programmers or making my program to be understandable. For example, if I decide to comment this program, I can say, maybe I can come over here, maybe I can say create scan object called input. So you know that uh, at that point, when you're reading my program, you know that here I've created my scanner object known as what input, and then next I can comment and say declare variables. So I've declared my variable, and then next I can say accept uh, um, uh, display message to the user. I've commented that I'm commenting my work so that it is readable, and then next is accept radius, and then next is compute area. I'm commenting my work, compute area, and then lastly display area. So this one is understandable. So if you are checking out my program, you will come and see, okay, maybe I can say, maybe here, create the main method. Okay, so you see I've created the main method and this is the line. Next one is I've created the scanner object called input. So you can see scanner input is equals to new scanner. Okay, I've declared variables, which is double area, double radius, and then the next thing is a display message to the user, which is enter radius. And then I've accepted radius, accept radius, I've accepted the radius. And then the next one is I've computed the area, and then lastly, I've displayed area to the user. So that's how the comment works. So even if I run this, it won't interfere with my program. I can run it and you can see enter radius, I can say 5. When I press enter, it will tell me the area is 78.55. Any question? Kezia? Yes? No, it is not compulsory unless you want to communicate with the user or you've been told to write them. It's never compulsory. Okay, but if you want to make your work to be clean and understandable to other person, you can use comment, because maybe if I my code you might not understand whatever is happening, but if I put the comment it now speaks. You can see for this case on how I've commented it. Hata unaweza kuja uangalie yenyewe inafanya kazi fulani because of the comments. It enables communication. Is that clear? Good. All right. Yes, Victor. I scroll up to the beginning or where? Okay. All right. So just a minute. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So I believe you've been able to understand. This one is just a simple program that maybe prompts the user to enter radius and then calculate the area. What about uh, we do something on, maybe we calculate the what? We calculate how maybe perimeter of a circle. Sindio? How do you compute the perimeter of a circle? So maybe we can do something on computing the perimeter of a circle. And for us to be able to compute the perimeter of a circle, we do the formula is usually 2 pi r. 2 pi r. I think that's the formula, unless I'm wrong. I think it's 2 pi r. So the next thing I'll do, I'll create a class and call it perimeter. So maybe circle perimeter or perimeter of a circle. I'll say Java class and call it perimeter of a circle. So you know that it is a perimeter of a circle that we are doing. And then I'll finish. I told you that these comments do not interfere with the programs. It is never must for you to comment. So for example, this case, I can maybe delete them. Naweza kuja ni delete hizo. So unaona nimezitoa. na bado iko tu sawa. So the next thing I'll do, now I'll create my main method. I'll say public static void main. Okay, and then the next thing is now, maybe I can write my steps that I need to follow. Maybe you can say here our program is supposed to calculate the perimeter of of a circle. So how do we calculate the perimeter of a circle? Create a program that calculates the perimeter of a circle. You can be told something like that. Create a program that calculates the perimeter of a circle. You know very well, for you to be able to calculate the perimeter of a circle, you need the radius. So inamaanisha kwamba user atakupatia radius. It's now upon you to use your common sense. You've been told create a program that calculates the perimeter of a circle. But you ask yourself, for you to be able to calculate the perimeter, what do you need? You need the area. So the first thing that I do, maybe display message. I can display message enter radius. That's the first thing I'll do. Step number 2, after the users entered radius, accept it, accept radius. Number 3, after accepting the radius, compute perimeter, and then lastly, display perimeter. But you can see it's underlining, so I'll comment that. Yeah, yeah. So these are the steps that we need to undertake. These ones are our step. Maybe for not to confuse you, I'll cut them alafu nizieke hapa juu ndo zikae huko outside the program. So here's now a program. So the first thing I'll do, I'll create a main method. After creating a main method, because we're accepting something from the user, I'll create the scanner. Okay, I'll come and say scanner input is equals to new scanner in bracket system dot in, like that. But you see it is underlying. It's complaining because the scanner belongs to a Java library known as the java.util scanner. So I'll come above the class and say import java.util scanner, like that. And then it won't underline the scanner. It just underlines input because it will tell us input is not yet used. The next thing is display message enter radius. So I'll say system.out.println enter radius. Then accept radius. I'll say no, before accept radius, we need to declare our variables. So what are some of the variables that we have over here? We have, who can tell us how many variables do we have? How many variables do we have? Yes, Dan. How many variables do we have? Two. We have two variables. Which one and which one, Victor? Betty? Which one and which one? Betty? Good. We have the perimeter and the radius. Those are our variable. And I've told you variables are things that tend to change. And I've told you, maybe you have to think. Radius, akitupatia maybe radius ya decimal point, si perimeter itakuwa ya decimal, itatupatia decimal. So inamaanisha kwamba tutatumia double. Double ndo data type yenye ina accept the is a data type that can store decimal. So when I'm declaring variable, basically whatever I'm doing, I'm creating a memory on the compiler. I'm telling it, I'll give you two things. One, I'll give you a perimeter, and then another one is a radius. So I'll have to declare them. I'll say double radius and then perimeter. As simple as that, and then terminate. So this one here will get one is this one will store, it will keep a memory for radius and then for perimeter. Okay, so I've declared my variables. You have to declare the variable first before you use them. You have to create a memory before give it something to store. The same way Mungu Yesu alienda kututengenezea nyumba pale ndo tuende sasa tupate zikiwa ready. Yeah, unahitaji nyumba kwanza. So the next thing is now we have to accept the radius that the user will give us over here. If I don't accept it, this is what happens. If I run it, you can see over here, you can see whatever happens. it just tell us enter radius, but hakuna mahali pa kuaccept, inasema build successful, inamaanisha ishamaliza. So we need to accept it. And how do we accept the radius? I say radius is equals to input dot next next double. So I say input dot next double, like that, and then terminate. This one will be able to accept the radius. Okay, after accepting radius, what's next? We calculate the perimeter, and I say for us to be able to calculate perimeter, you say perimeter is equals to 2 pi r. Unajua ni 2 times pi, which is 3.142 times what? Radius. Hivyo. And then terminate. Terminate, una terminate. Kama uterminate unatumia nini? Semicolon. Unatumia nini? Curly brace. If you're not terminating. Unaona? You terminate where necessary. Si ati nikupate hapo umeweka terminator. Hapana, hakuna terminator hapa. Unaona utaweka, you'll put it and it won't complain and it won't run. That's the problem. Okay, so I'll calculate my perimeter by saying perimeter is equals to 2, and we saw that how do we calculate the perimeter of a circle? It's 2 pi r. So it's 2 times 3.142 times radius. And then I'll output the message perimeter to the user. I'll come over here and say system.out.println and say perimeter is equals to, and how do I attach the perimeter? I just come outside the quotes and say plus perimeter. You need to listen carefully onto this. You need to, when you're touching the perimeter, you say perimeter. If perimeter is different na ile ingine. This one is just a statement. Let me put it in capital. Perimeter, the perimeter is equals to plus perimeter. So inasema kwamba perimeter is equals to hii perimeter yenye tutakuwa tumepata hapa. You can see there's a difference. Hii hapa ni tofauti na hii hapa. Unaona? This one is different with this one. This one is in red. Anything that is in red is a statement. Is the reason why it is in quote. And then I run. And then I'll say enter radius. I can give it 7. And then it will tell me perimeter is 43.988. As simple as that. So you can see the first thing that happened, I create my scanner because we're accepting. You only use the scanner or you put the scanner in cases whereby you're accepting something from the user. Do not make your program so large or too long. And then after doing so, you declare your variables. I declare my variables, double radius and double perimeter. I told you we have two ways. I can either declare them on two separate lines. I can say double radius, comma, double radius, and then ingine pia double radius. And then another one is double perimeter, like that. No, we can't have both. You can only have one. So we have these two ways. So I don't want the second one. I just comment it. No. And then next you will tell the user enter radius. Anyway, atajuaje? Ni kama nakuja tu na kuangalia. How will I know what you want? You have to tell him. Just be reasonable, okay? I'll tell the user system.out.println. I'll tell the user enter radius and then I'll accept the radius. And then the next thing is I'll compute the perimeter and then I'll display the perimeter to the user. Yes. Betty, do you have a question? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, I get you. That's a very good question. Whenever you are declaring, unaona hapa, ukideclare unatumia small d, but ukiaccept hapa inakwanga capital. Sawa sawa. That's something that you really need to take in note. Ukideclare ni small d, but ukiaccept ni caps. Tuseme ningedeclare kitu kama integer, niseme int age. Nikija hapa ku accept age, hii age, unaona hapa int ni small I. Nikikuja ku accept age, nasema age is equals to input dot next int. Unaona? sasa inakuwa capital. Ukideclare hapa ni small, hapa inakuwa caps. The only difference ni string. Okay, string ndo tuna declare hapa. If it was string we just say string name, but nikija ni accept name hapa, so unasemanga tu name is equals to input dot next, hivyo. Hiyo tu ni juu ya string, ama naweza sema next ama next line, bado iko sawa. Hiyo ni juu ya string, na ine kama natumia next line jua the L ni capital, ama nasema tu hivyo next. Okay, that's, you need to take note on that. String tu ndo different, very special because it is within the main method. That's why s yake ni capital, double ni small, I ni small ya int, but ukikuja ku accept hapa unaona I ni inakuwa caps and then D pia inakuwa caps. I hope that's clear beti now, si ndio? Good. Okay. Mm. 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 Right, John. John Chepngeno. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, if they're not in a decimal point, we can use integer. So what about, let's try with integer instead of these. So I'll comment these other ones that I had because we don't need them for those, but because people are screenshotting, I don't want them to have something that won't make sense. So let me remove them. No. So let's say if we had something, maybe you want to deal with decimal points. Maybe let me just do a new program where user enters two numbers and then it computes the sum. Ni kama unaambia user enter two numbers. No, hiyo itakuwa na confuse at this point. So maybe let me just change this one to be int. Okay, maybe let's say int ni whole number. So here in this case we'll be dealing with whole numbers. So if I'm dealing with int, I'll just come, I'll declare my variables. The data type is int radius, and then perimeter. But before we do the int, let's try this one. You can see here when I gave the radius 7, it gave us 43.988. Nikiweka int itatupatia 243, ita ignore decimal point. So I can come over here, let me now change it to int, and then I'll say enter radius, and then I'll say radius is equals to input dot next int. Okay, and then over here I'll say perimeter is equals to 2 times this. You see the problem that will happen over here, it won't be able to run. Why? Because here I'm dealing with decimal point, but my data type is what? Integer. Hakuna venye unaweza tumia integer, unaweza tumia whole number alafu unakuja hapo unatumia decimal point. Inamaanisha hii perimeter unafaa kuiconvert ikuwe decimal point ndio itarun. So basically whatever I'll do, I'll change the perimeter to a double ndio iweze kufanya kazi. Naona nikichange to double, it now works. Okay, so in this case if I run it, you can see hata nikiweka 7 inasema 43. But what about a case I say 7.5? Ina run into a problem because it's only supposed to accept all numbers. Haifai ku accept decimal point. Okay, so you really need to be careful with the data type. So in that is, it's more of using your common sense, but later on I'll teach you how we can convert from one data type to the other, maybe from int to double or from double to int. Okay, yes, yeah. So any other question? Magdalene, you have a question? Kezia, you have a question? Yes. Mm-hmm. Sasa wacha nikwambie the easiest. Easiest ni kwamba nisipokupatia values, nikikupatia radius yenye inahitajika, okay? So tuseme ilikuwa ya kucalculate area na nimekupatia radius, you don't need scanner. Hiyo ndo easiest. Hizo variables kama umepatiwa, you do not need scanner. Okay? Kuna wakati wanaweza sema maybe create a program that computes perimeter of a circle. Hivyo tu, that computes perimeter of a circle. Hujaambiwa prompt, hujaambiwa chochote, umeambiwa tu calculate the perimeter of a circle. So hapo unajiuliza, for me to calculate the perimeter, what do I need? I need the radius. But nimepatiwa radius. Have I been told to have I been told to prompt the user to enter radius? No. So in that case, you just tell you use the scanner. But ukiambiwa create a program that prompts the user, uh, create a program that calculates the area of a circle given a radius of 7.0. You don't need scanner. Juu umepatiwa kila kitu unahitaji. Kama umepatiwa kila kitu unahitaji, what else do you need from the user? Nothing. So in that case, we won't have it. I hope that's now clear. So it's more of logical thinking, but most of the time, you'll be most of the time, sana sana most of the time utakuwa unaambiwa prompt. But in other cases, like you remember the program that I gave you of calculating the speed, you are given everything, so you don't need the scanner because ushapatiwa kila kitu. Kitu imebakia tu niwe kucalculate. So it's more of critical thinking. Sawa. Yeah, una evaluate kama umepatiwa tu kila kitu. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. Silence means people have understood. Okay, I hope so. Brilliant. Have you understood? Okay. Bridget, do you have a question? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, utaanza tu na public class. You don't need the scanner. Okay. Yeah, avoid writing unnecessary code because in exams itakuwa ina waste your time. Actually exams unapatanga hizo 2 hours ni kidogo. So unafikiria tu. Unaona venye nimeandika map yangu down, what do I need? I need to maybe display message, enter radius, accept radius, compute perimeter and then display. Ukilay down hivi unapatanga una calculate vizuri as per ile aspect unafikiria kwa kichwa yako. Inakuanga very tricky. Any other person with a question before we wind up, before we close? Don't want to close anyone out. Okay. So believe people watu wameelewa, si ndio? Kawira, Bridget, kuna swali? Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Hiyo itajike. Scanner is cost to import, you don't need it. Yeah, scanner zote zinatoka au zieke. Scanner tu ni accept, so you don't need it. Sawa. Any other person? I believe September 2021 you've understood, yeah? So that's one thing that is kind of ahead of you a bit, but I believe you've understood. I won't teach it in a class, apparently. So for the September 2021, I'll send you some assignment for you to do this evening, and then I'll check them out when we meet. So besides that, if you don't have any question, I would like us to stop at that point. If you have any question or maybe you come across any question afterwards, you can feel free to inbox me and then I'll be able to sort you out. So you guys can have a nice evening. You can prepare for Monday. I'll see you when you see me. Thank you. Okay, okay. I'll send it.